2 Corinthians 5:17 says, "Therefore, if any man be in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new." Old things are passed away, but if we're not careful, we start visiting the graveyard. We go back and pick up old habits like they still belong to us. Old anger, old bitterness, old coping mechanisms, old relationships, old mindsets. And sometimes we don't even call them old ways anymore. We call them personality. Well, that's just how I am. No, that might be how you were. That might be how you learned to survive. That might be how you protected yourself. That might be what felt normal before, but that is not who God called you to stay. And I think a lot of spiritual burnout comes from trying to live new while secretly feeding the old. That will wear you out. Trying to follow Jesus while entertaining what he delivered you from will wear you out. Trying to have peace while holding on to control will wear you out. Trying to be close to God while refusing to make time for him will wear you out. A divided heart is exhausting. James 1:8 says, "A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways." And sometimes we're tired because we're double-minded. We want God, but we also want our old life. We want freedom, but we also want the thing that keeps putting us back in chains. We want Jesus to be Lord, but we also want to stay in control. That kind of living creates heaviness. It creates confusion, and eventually you start feeling spiritually burned out. Not because God's way is heavy, but because compromise is heavy, distance is heavy, carrying things alone is heavy. Jesus said his yoke is easy and his burden is light. That matters here too, because when we drift from God, we start picking the weight back up. We start carrying stress he told us to give him. We start carrying shame he already paid for. We start carrying old identities he already broke. We start carrying outcomes we were never meant to control. Then we say, why does life feel so heavy? Maybe because we stepped out from under his yoke and started dragging everything by ourselves again. Jesus did not call us to live disconnected and exhausted. He said, "Come unto me." He said, "Learn of me." He said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light." But the yoke only feels light when you stay close. Distance makes it heavy. Closeness makes it light. That's not just a nice line. That is real. When you're close to God, you notice things quicker. You notice when your heart is getting hard. You notice when you're about to respond wrong. You notice when temptation is trying to pull you. You notice when pride is rising up. You notice when your thoughts are going somewhere they shouldn't. Not because you become perfect, you won't, but because you become sensitive again. And that sensitivity is a gift. When you're far from God, conviction starts feeling faint. You can be halfway back to something God freed you from before you even realize you've been walking that direction. So the answer is not to hate yourself. The answer is to come back and build a rhythm that keeps you close. Start simple. Don't make it so complicated that you quit by Wednesday. Some people get convicted and immediately make a plan that no normal human can follow. They're like, starting tomorrow, I'm waking up at 4 a.m., reading 12 chapters, praying for 2 hours, and I'm gonna fast until Friday. Memorize Romans and learn Hebrew. And then the next morning, they sleep through the alarm and feel like a failure. Start with what you can actually do consistently. Maybe it's 15 minutes in the morning. Maybe it's 10 minutes before bed. Maybe it's a chapter at lunch. Maybe it's a worship on the way to work. Maybe it's turning your phone off for the first 20 minutes of the day. Maybe it's saying, before I hear from everybody else, I'm going to hear from God. Small, consistent obedience is powerful. Do not despise small beginnings. 5 real minutes with God is better than an imaginary 2-hour prayer routine you never actually do. Start somewhere. And as you start, be honest. Don't come to God with fake words. You don't have to sound impressive. You can pray something like, God, I've been distant. Lord, I've been giving you leftovers. Jesus, I've been slipping back into old ways, and I don't want to stay there. Help me want you again. Teach me how to make time for you. That prayer may not sound fancy, but it is real, and God can work with real. Psalms 51:17 says, a broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. God does not despise the person who comes honestly. He is not annoyed that you're back. He is not rolling his eyes like, here we go again. That's how people act sometimes. That is not the Father's heart. Think about the prodigal son. The son ran away, wasted everything, ended up broken, and when he came back home, the father ran to him. The Father didn't stand there with a clipboard. He didn't say, "Before I hug you, let's review your bad decisions." He ran, he embraced him, he restored him. That is the heart of God. So don't let shame keep you away from the only one who can restore you. James 4:8 says, "Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you." Draw near, and he will draw near. That's the promise. It doesn't say draw near and maybe he'll think about it. It doesn't say draw near and he'll reject you because you should have come sooner. Draw near, he will draw near. So make the time. And I know that sounds simple, but honestly, that might be the word for somebody. Make the time. Stop waiting to feel spiritual. Stop waiting for life to slow down. Stop waiting until you have the perfect routine. Stop waiting until you feel motivated. You may not feel like it at first. Do it anyway.